and Giancarlo Stanton
For
just mashed a homer. We're live on the Goonery. I'm your host, Uncle Adam. Joining me today is Brandon Cauley and Ben. Just Ben. I forget what your last name is, and it's not showing up.
all good, all good.
Uh, what's going on, guys? We got live baseball's back, and so is the Goonery.
Hey man, baseball is back. I can't complain, and no one else should complain. The fans is a big part of the game, but at the end of the day, we went how many months without sports? I think we should be a little more grateful about that.
We really took sports for granted. Oh,
Hmm.
and
100%.
baseball. I don't really think it needs the fans right now. I think it's very
Yeah, same here.
comfortable without fans.
I gonna have to agree with you. I'm not a big fan of the fake fans behind home plate, but hey, whatever,
Is that the
floats your boat.
cardboard
I get
cutouts?
the
Yeah, it's
cardboard
it's
cutouts. I get it. Yeah, I get it. It's for charity. It's a great cause. I'm not gonna shell out the money for it. I'll donate some money instead of having myself sit behind home plate. But we haven't had real live sports, in my opinion, started the MLS since March. It feels good. It feels good.
It'd be you could use that cardboard cutout as a profile picture for your video stream right now too.
We're in a fragile state right now. Okay, I'm doing my best over here.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, we want to get the sports conversation going again. Um, Looks like the two of you will be joining me regularly. Gotta pronounce words again. Um, and then maybe we'll get some guests that are also talking sports around the country here. We wanted to talk today. We had a few topics. One being baseball and a 60-game stretch, and uh, who our favorites are to maybe win the World Series. Who's an underrated team or two, and then finish it off with a little fantasy football draft coming up. What to expect during COVID. Um, who wants to jump out the gate with a World Series contender that they can't stop thinking about?
Well, ever since the my Chicago White Sox have had their first few exhibition games against the Chicago Cubs, I really haven't been able to contain my excitement. I've gone from being cautiously optimistic heading into this season to probably overly optimistic, and I hate to say that, but
As a Cubs
I've
fan, I
never.
know the feeling.
Yeah. And as you being a Cubs fan who's not going to complain about me being a White Sox fan for being optimistic, I appreciate that. It's been a long rebuild. Gone are the days of signing guys like Adam LaRoche and bringing his son Drake along with him.
Those were dark
This.
times.
I mean, there was an interview about that team from God, who was it? I don't remember who it was. It might have been from Paul Konerko, and he said that everyone on that team, they like legitimately hated each other. There was no team chemistry, and that's what's like got me amped up about this White Sox team. For the first time in forever, they feel like a real team. I'm not sure if you guys.
Yeah, as a Cubs fan, I'm not a huge South Side guy um, when it comes to baseball, but I can't help but notice how sexy that roster looks on paper, and I'm always down for a sexy baseball team to
Yeah, I mean,
have their day.
and when it comes to the White Sox right now, just the swagger in that lineup from top to bottom. We got Tim Anderson at shortstop, Yohan Moncada at third base, Jose Abreu at first, Luis Robert in center, Eloy Jimenez in left field. Then you got Yasmani Grandal catching behind the plate, who people have just been like calling him a cocksucker, but the best type of cocksucker, just being like that prick that you want on your team. And he's going to bring this. He's the best signing of the offseason, in my opinion. You can have your big dollar contracts, but what he's going to bring to the pitching staff, who's pretty inexperienced, I would say, still from top to bottom, it's going to be leaps and bounds. It's going to make a difference, leaps and bounds. I specifically like with the rotation. Obviously, Michael Kopech opting out. That's not great. Kind of scared to see what's going to come from him in the future, especially after his girlfriend sent out a pretty a pretty like cryptic tweet, and then quickly deleted it about how Michael has lost his love for the game. So that's not something you want to hear. So retirement rumors have been swirling a little bit on White Sox Twitter. Not what you want to hear from your number one pitching prospect. But Lucas Giolito at the top of the rotation, in my opinion, one of the probably a top 2 arm in the AL Central. And then you have Dallas Keuchel, who's looking like he's going to be a great signing. Kind of like a Mark Burley type of pitcher that the Sox haven't had since Burley, clearly. But then you get to some uncertainty. Dylan Cease, obviously, you really don't know what you're going to get out of him. Still, he has some of the best stuff I've seen, but you really don't know what to expect out of him. Ronaldo Lopez still scares me. And then Carlos Rodon, he might be the biggest question mark, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys know much about Rodon at all.
Yeah.
He was a big prospect, and then he never really did anything.
Yeah, he's a huge prospect.
Yeah, just injuries out the ass from him. He had Tommy John, and he pitched pretty well in the exhibition game against the Brewers last night. But every start, he kind of starts to tire out in like the 4th or 5th inning. And like at this point, I know the Sox have Gio Gonzalez waiting in the wings. Just he'll get in there at some point, get some innings. Guy like Dane Dunning.
I like those guys competing for the 5th spot.
Yeah,
I think they have depth.
And that's not to say that Rodon doesn't have a spot on this team. I think it just comes down to Carlos Rodon admitting that he's not a starting pitcher, and you leverage him into that Andrew Miller type of role where he has that plus slider where he can just almost not throw his arm out for 2 innings, but take advantage of his best stuff for 2 innings and look the best he can be.
Yeah, it's all about that 7th, 8th, and 9th inning relief pitchers these days. And what's the Sox situation looking there?
I mean, the White Sox bullpen, it's pretty consistent. When you got a guy like Don Cooper leading the staff, they have Aaron Bummer, who kind of burst onto the scene out of nowhere last year in the setup role, who I think he'll end up being the closer by the end of the year. Alex Colomé is currently the closer. He kind of got rocked the other night through like 30 pitches in the 9th.
He's pretty solid.
No, he's a very solid pitcher, but I just think Bummer's stuff is better than his at this point in his career. And then, they have a few other guys who are going to make an impact out of the pen, but like guys like Steve Cishek was a good signing this offseason, brought him up from the north side, veteran guy. Yeah, Brandon, I don't know if you know anything about Cishek at all. But
he's a former Cardinal, so I know him.
I forgot you're a Cardinal fan. Okay. Yeah.
Former Cub, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then Jimmy Cordero is another arm I like. He's got probably some of the biggest biceps in baseball. He's a right-hander, throws about 97, 98. He's a good arm out of the pen. I'm optimistic about the bullpen, and that's kind of what separates this Sox team from the Twins and the Indians in the division, in my opinion, just the depth they have there and the staff overall. I mean, the Twins are – it's going to be interesting to see who hits more home runs between the Sox and the Twins this year. But the Sox pitching compared to the Twins pitching, I think that's what sets the Sox apart.
They're hella young.
Yeah.
A lot of talent, a lot of upside, a lot of big bats. I feel like they all got to be firing on all cylinders, and I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, anything can happen in a 60-game stretch, but maybe next year. But very soon, that team should be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
And Steve Stone last night on the broadcast, I'll wrap up. We don't have to talk about the Sox for much longer. Steve Stone said on the broadcast last night, who in my opinion is the best color guy in all of baseball. He said the Sox are going to – he's predicting 36 wins for the Sox this year, and he thinks that's enough to make the playoffs. And if the Sox win 36 games this year, especially with baseball deciding today they're moving to a 16-team playoff, they seriously went wrong. So baseball is going the path of 2020, and it's just got flipped on its head if they don't make the playoffs with 36 wins.
Yeah, it should be interesting. How many teams? More
16.
Than
so
16?
16 total. So 8 from each. So it's usually five or
That'll be fun. That'll be a
Two
fun
wild
little
card,
season.
yeah.
It's been a while since I've
Yeah.
been excited about baseball, but a lot to look forward to this
Oh yeah.
little stretch here.
Oh yeah, and it's
It's
gonna be
already-
fun watching. Gonna be fun watching my Eloy plus 4,000 to future bet I put to lead baseball in home runs back in January. So
Man,
it's a little
another-
fun storyline.
another former Cub, right?
Hey, thank you.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Wow, it's already 2-1 in the Yanks-Washington game.
Former White Sox Adam Eaton.
Yeah, that's too bad they had to get rid of him. But what are you gonna do? Anyone on the Sox you're skeptical about that you don't think got what
So-
it takes or won't live
so-
up to? Yeah.
My biggest complaint about the Sox right now is the fact that Nick Madrigal, second baseman, first round pick out of Oregon State a few years ago, he's starting in Schaumburg on the shuttle team, just trying to manipulate the service time for a week. And I understand that. Madrigal's not a guy who's going to demand a massive, massive contract when he gets there. When we get there, he's going to be a guy who will most likely hit about 300, steal about 30 to 40 bags, play good defense. I mean, he struck out 16 times last year in like 120 games between three levels of the minor leagues. He's going to go up there and give you quality at bats. And I know he's going to come up in about a week or so, but it's just frustrating because if the Sox are really dead set on just going balls to the wall from the start of the year to go and get a playoff spot, why aren't you putting your best lineup out there, especially with the first 6 games of the year being against the Twins and the Indians? I don't understand that, but what can you do? We're going to end up having Lurie Garcia, who is one of the best utility guys in baseball, in my opinion, starting at second base, start out the year. And then most likely, depending on who's pitching for the teams on the various days, we'll have a combination of Adam Engel and Nicky Delmonico in right field, which it is what it is. There's nothing you could do, but just looking forward to having Madrigal out there.
Very, very sexy infield and sexy outfield. Solid
Yohan Moncada and Tim Anderson might be the swaggiest
left side.
left-sided in all of baseball.
Yeah.
No one, I couldn't be happier.
I don't know, Bryant and Baez.
I mean, I'm not. Let's not go there. Yohan Moncada looks like he could step in and play running back for Alabama tomorrow, and then Tim Anderson is just the embodiment of the Chicago White Sox, and I would die for that man. So that's all I've got on that.
Can't wait to watch it. When's their first game?
Tomorrow night,
Tomorrow night.
7 Central.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like everyone's playing tomorrow. A couple teams
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wish I had the same type of optimism that you have for your White Sox that I do about my Cardinals. And I do this thing every year where I'm just not really, really like hyped up for them because they do this thing where they're very, very inactive in the offseason. They have moves that they should have made and they don't do it. And on top of that, they lost Marcelo Zuna, but you're going to replace it with Tyler O'Neill. And nothing against Tyler O'Neill because I feel like he has potential to be a 30-30 guy, but that's a lot to bank on, especially with a team that was in the National League Championship Series last season and got absolutely plastered by the Nationals. And that was not fun to see. But I do feel like the Cardinals can make a run to the World Series. It's all a matter of how they hit because if I know there were some games where the pitching did fail them, but the pitching was a strong suit of the Cardinals throughout the entire season last season. And it's interesting because I've watched the Cardinals throughout the past couple of years, like closely more than, other years. And I've seen that it was like past the All-Star break where they would make a crazy run and they would find their way into the playoff race where last year they find themselves winning the division other than just missing on the wild card. And it's just going to be interesting to see if like they have that same magic going from July into September going forward. But I'm not going to pick them because I feel like if I pick my own team, they're going to fail. I'm not doing that to myself. I've gone without sports. I've been happier without sports, even though I love sports. But I'm not gonna put that evil on myself. But who I'm going to pick for my World Series sleeper, I was going to pick the White Sox because they're the sexy team right now. And I even said it, if this was a 162 game season, I do believe they would have snuck into a wild card spot. But I'm going to bring up a team that not many people are talking about, but secretly has one of the best lineups in baseball. The San Diego Padres.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yep.
Now, you're talking about an infield that features Eric Hosmer, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Manny Machado. And you have an outfield that has my guy, Tommy Pham, former Cardinal. And I feel like I'm missing somebody. Will Myers.
Yeah.
He's
Will
like
Myers.
a fringe guy now, though, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's a solid player. He just doesn't get talked about. I feel like
Will Myers can hit. Will Myers is a damn good hitter.
I like him.
He's a really good hitter.
Him on the team. Yeah.
He's a really good hitter. And I feel like it's the kind of the same thing with the White Sox, if you really think about it, because if you look at the White Sox side, they had hitting all over the place, literally, especially from the DH spot where you got to bring Edwin Encarnacion up. Because no matter how old he gets, I'm not going to say he can't hit home runs until he stops hitting home runs. That man can hit. But
look at Nelson Cruz.
Ageless. I'm telling you, if he didn't make that blunder in the World Series, we'd be talking about him being a Hall of Famer, like more of a lock of a Hall of Famer.
That's a guy who's just gotten better every freaking year.
Every year. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But because you look at the Padres rotation, Chris Paddock, he was a rookie last year. He did pretty well. Then you have Garrett Richards. And then the rest of the rotation is just like, I don't know. So that's going to be the biggest obstacle, and I feel like both teams are in the same spot as in that they have potential, but how much is the shortened season going to play in their favor or not play into their favor, or are they going to grow up fast and if they're going to make a run? Now, I was going to say the Reds, but I'm not going to give the Reds the satisfaction because I'm a Cardinal fan and I'm going to stick to my guns. But the Reds, I'm scared. Now, what about you, Adam? Because I'm scared.
I just feel like there's so many. We've seen like the best squads of baseball all in one league, like between the Astros and the Dodgers and the Yankees and then the Nationals. There's just some powerhouse squads that have it all, from starting ace pitching to a couple ace pitchers to that 7, 8, 9 bullpen guys that you need, and then bats that can get the ball over the fence.
And can I add on one more thing?
Yeah, please.
Because I want to be the hot take guy of this podcast, but I was going to mention the Astros as an underrated candidate only because we're hearing a whole lot about the Yankees, and I think a lot of people was probably saying, considering that they was going to be fans at the time the season was going to start, and how many fans, players, we're just going to try to psych the Astros out by doing whatever, hitting them or booing them. I thought they was going to fall under the pressure, especially and also for the fact that they don't have Garrett Cole any longer too. That's going to be a big blow. They do have Justin Verlander to be his agent, but I feel like a lot of people forget about the Astros.
Wait, I thought Astros had Cole, right? Yankees.
Yeah.
Signed a huge contract. Yeah, I think this is the Yankees' World Series to lose. I'm not trying to root for the Yanks or piss anyone off, but I look at that team and it's just so stacked.
As long as it's not Boston.
Oh man, they really kind of.
No thanks. I got too many Boston fans in there. They're as arrogant as ever. I can't. Like, listen, I had to deal with that when they beat my Cardinals in 2013. I've held a grudge on their fans ever since.
I gotta toot the horn of the Cubs here.
Oh boy!
I still think that roster has a fight left in them. I feel like their pitching is just too much of a question mark to really.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go. That's where I was gonna go, Adam. I mean, not to just dump on the Cubs, but like just to like think about it. Their window is not open for much longer with the talent pool that they have. And Chris Bryant, once he have one more year left on his deal after this year, you're going to have to pay him a ridiculous amount of money considering, it's Chris Bryant and he's Boris guy. Baez's contract is coming up at some point. You're paying Hayward for 5 more years after this year, Chatwood for 2 more. Darvish for what is it, four more after this year, and Kimbrel for 2 more. I mean, they're just they're in a tough spot right now. So I mean, just Cubs have to show out this year if they want to keep this together, in my opinion.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. But they are dangerous.
If they can make,
they're a very dangerous
the playoffs, team. I think they could be dangerous.
No, I agree. That lineup, top to bottom, if they can get hitting, that lineup is scary.
If they're not striking out too much,
that's their problem.
In my opinion, who I think the scariest guy in that lineup is, who hasn't reached his potential yet, is Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras. That's a guy who, if he can get to this point maturity-wise as a professional baseball player, I think he can be a top 5 player in baseball. I really do. He's that talented. And it's gonna be interesting. Rizzo losing all the weight, to see what he's able to do, see if that helps his back pain. And it's going to be – what do you, want them to do with their outfield situation? I know they signed Steven Souza Jr. I don't know how to say his last name.
Steven Souza Jr.
Yeah. And then you got Schwarber, Hayward, Happ, Almora.
I like Schwarber taking the left field duties. It's all DH now, right? So put Schwarber as the DH. Ian Happ, he's on the rise. Keep him in center field. Jason Hayward is no better right fielder defensively. At least that's how it used to be. And then I think you can just plug in the Souza. You can plug in Almora Jr. Put those guys in the left. They got Daniel Descalso.
Cardinal.
Yeah, he's got some legs. I got Kipnis at second base now. They have a really sexy offense.
He's a local guy.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah, real sexy offense. They need some help from pitching. I don't know if they have the depth in the bullpen, but they got a lot of guys that can throw the baseball.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, Brandon, you're good. You're good. My bad.
I was gonna say, a lot of I've heard discussions about what team is benefiting more from the DH, and the fact that Kyle Schwarber, we don't have to see his adventures in left field, but we get to see him hit. Ever since he hit the ball to the moon in 2015, I've been scared of him ever since. And considering that he doesn't have to play the outfield and he could be staying healthy because of that, that's scary.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is with Schwarber too, I know everyone likes to dump on his defensive abilities, but he was actually
not terrible.
No, last year he was an above average defensive left fielder.
They would be fine if he had to play left field. I would start him in left field every day.
That's not saying I can't talk as much. Eloy Jimenez might be a worse left fielder than Kyle Schwarber, which is just disappointing to say out loud. But it's the Cubs are in a very good spot offensively. It's just, I think, in my opinion, the Cubs season, obviously you have the big questions in the bullpen, but I think the biggest question mark is which John Lester you're going to get this year.
I know. I feel like regular season you're not going to get much, and if they were to make it to the postseason, I would have more confidence in that Lester.
And the back end of rotation is very, very, very scary to look at as well.
Yeah. They got Quintana and Chatwood.
Yeah, you literally do not know which Quintana you're going to get every single game, because he's supposed to be that guy, that other lefty. He's supposed to be another one of those John Lester type of pitchers. But if I'm and not being my Cardinal fan bias, but
former White Sox.
Yep. He Quintana just looks like a completely different pitcher from when he was with the White Sox too, which is kind of crazy, because when Quintana was with the Sox, it was always, man, if this guy could get some run support, he could really be something special. Because that was
he always had a low whip. Not whip.
ERA.
Whatever that advanced stat is.
He would just get quality start after quality start with no decisions, just because the Sox were trotting out lineups.
I know how you feel on that too.
The likes of Wellington Castillo, with the likes of Brett Lowry, just no-name veterans that the Sox were signing thinking it would get us over the hump. And you have guys like Sale and Quintana going out there every night or every fifth day and pitching their nuts off and just nothing coming of it. But we've turned a corner. You guys have to deal with Quintana now. Thank you for Dylan Cease and Eloy. And
Christ. Hey, I mean, we made some good trades. We made some bad ones. What are you gonna do? One over on the Cardinals too. I do like that Paul Goldschmidt signing. Is he?
I've loved it so far.
Yeah,
I've loved it. And
was that a long-term deal or was that a rental?
So he was initially traded. Remember,
Yeah.
gave up I believe it was Carson Kelly and Shelby Miller and someone else. And after that we signed him to an extension. I've got the numbers, but I think it's gonna keep him in St. Louis for about 4 years. Now it's 4 years. I think it was initially 5 when we signed him.
Okay.
But it just I love this signing because we haven't really had that big home run hitter since Albert Pujols. You can make the case of Matt Holliday. You can make a case of Alan Craig at one point, Lance Berkman for those 2 years, or Carlos Beltran for that 2 years, I believe. I think it was 2 years. But we never had that guy. And, I think we had, and Paul DeYoung is just a matter of consistency. Yeah. Marcelo Ozuna was there for like a cup of coffee, and, we just haven't had that. So the fact that we have someone in the middle that people can fear, people can walk, and then you get to DeYoung, you get to Carpenter if he's, playing like Carpenter again this season, I think, the lineup can be dangerous.
Oh, man. Well, it should be exciting. I'm pumped for live sports again. I'm pumped for a 16-team playoff and kind of not a lost year, but just experimental, like, let's just do what we can here. We should see some good stuff. I feel like one of the teams that we spoke about today will win the World Series. Was there anyone that we left out in the last minute here that has a chance?
I was also, because I wrote this down too, because I mentioned 3 of the teams that I say could possibly be in it. But if the Mets could somehow stay healthy, they have a chance.
Brandon, I love you saying that. Because
that's a good one. I'm glad we leave them out.
The Mets and the White Sox, we have a brotherhood. Just being the younger brother in the city, and I'll always have a soft spot for the Mets. And I mean, I love Pete Alonso. I love Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom, in my opinion, despite being as good as he is, winning the Cy Young last year, I legitimately think he might be one of the most underrated pitchers in all of baseball, if that makes any sense at all.
No, it makes perfect sense because still the conversations are surrounded by Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, and Clayton Kershaw still. So
and
it's true.
Even on his own team, people like to talk about Noah Syndergaard more than they like to talk about Jacob deGrom.
Is Syndergaard still on that team?